Tracy with Bewitched Crafts, and today I'd like to show you how to heat emboss. Embossing is an easy way to add texture and shine to your projects. Let's get started. I often use black embossing powder when I want the outline of an image to stand out, or to create solid silhouette images like this. See how the embossing is slightly raised and glossy? I hope the camera is picking up that shine. I created this with a piece of white daisy cardstock and black embossing powder. I used the Yesterday and Today scrapbooking stamp set with matching thin cuts to create the die. It only takes a moment. You can also emboss with colored embossing powder. This is one of my favorite techniques for stamping a crisp white sentiment on colored cardstock. Let's give it a try. You just need a few supplies to heat emboss: an anti-static tool, a VersaMark watermark stamp pad, embossing powder, a clothespin or long tweezers, and a heat gun. We'll start by rubbing our anti-static pouch on the cardstock we'll be stamping on. I'm using black and we're going to stamp with white. This tool gets pounced over this entire surface of the paper so that the embossing powder will only stick to the areas we stamp with the VersaMark. Next, I'll open the VersaMark. I've applied my sentiment stamp to my acrylics stamp block, and I'm going to press into the VersaMark just as I would if I were inking up the stamp. It's a little sticky. You can hear it kind of picking up the stamp pad as I go. I am not pressing hard. I'm going to stamp as I normally would. If you press hard with a sentiment, you may end up with smudges and it will not be crisp. So resist the urge to press hard and just simply apply it as you normally would. Now it's a little bit sticky, so my paper's stuck. I'm just going to peel that off. And now it's time to apply our embossing powder. You can do this over a coffee filter, or I like to do it over a piece of Tupperware where I can just store all of my powder and use a plastic spoon to reuse what's left over. So simply shake powder over the entire stamped section and then tap off. I'm going to go ahead and close this so it doesn't get spilled and set it aside away from our heat source. Now, a heat gun is not like a hairdryer. It doesn't have a great deal of force because we don't want to blow the powder around that's loosely stuck on by the embossing powder and pad. This does get very hot. My best tip for you is to never use the heat gun with an item laying flat on a solid surface. Air needs to pass through the paper or the paper will curl. So in order for us to keep the paper flat and to not burn our fingers, I like to use a pair of tweezers. I'll turn the heat gun on. You want to keep it moving. And you can see that the powder has melted and it's become a very crisp white. And it's my favorite way to stamp white on black. So that's the quickest and easiest way to heat emboss. I'll have a new video out soon, so join me next week for my quick tip video on how to use liquid glass and stickles to add even more dimension and shine to your paper crafting projects.